He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
No mai, whakarongo mai ki te Aotai whenua, welcome to Country Life. I'm Sally Round.
Great to have your company, I'm Duncan Smith. Today, Cosmo gets his skates on at an outdoor ice rink that's been attracting skaters since 1951.
And Janina heads to a large farm near Wellington where dogs and farm workers are working alongside kiwi as part of the Capital Kiwi project.
We'll take a whirl through this week's rural news too, but first, our guest today is Sarah Mosley, who works on her family's farm in South Otago.
We're at Kowhai Bush Farms down in Stirling, and we are a potato farm. Yeah.
As we speak, one of your employees has driven past us on a forklift truck with a big box of potatoes.
Yeah, so we wash all of the potatoes predominantly the day before they pack out, so they've got time to dry. So yeah, that's the wash plant over there, and we grow 7 different varieties. So at the moment they're washing Agria.
What other varieties do you grow?
We have Red King, Red Rascal, Van Rosa, Desiree, Agria, Nadine, Marisanka, and then this year we're actually testing out a couple of different varieties, Butte, Flamenco and Everest. But yeah, we're just trial running them this year, so hoping that their shelf life is a bit longer.
Yes. And what is the most popular variety?
Agria, that's sort of the yellow flesh potato. So it's quite like a nice texture when you mash it, and it crisps up quite well. Like you always see on restaurant menus, twice baked Agria or double fried Agria potato fries. They seem to like advertising that that's the variety they use, but personally I don't think it's that great, but that seems to be what everyone loves.
What's your favourite spud?
The Marisanka is probably the most flavourful one that we've got, but it also causes a lot of issues growing and packing, so it's probably my least favourite production-wise, but taste-wise is probably the best.
Now, your family have been growing potatoes for generations, haven't they?
Yeah, so I'm 6th generation currently. Originally there was William Alfred Mosley who came out on the John Wycliffe boat in like 1850 something. Yeah. And he started growing potatoes on Inchclutha, which we still grow potatoes currently, and then he had like 11 children, so there's been a lot of dispersing, but yeah, ever since the Mosleys have farmed on Inchclutha, and we still currently lease some of the land that he started out on, so it's quite cool that it's spanned, but it started really developing from my grandfather. He probably grew maybe 40 hectares to like diversify with dairy farming, and then they decided that it worked quite well, and so then him and my father sort of grew it from there. Yeah.
And so how many hectares of potatoes are you growing?
140 hectares. And we also lease land. We've actually started growing down in Southland as well, so we're carting them all the way from down there. And at the moment we're digging in Milton, so it's about 50-50 I think what we own and then lease. Yeah.
Now what's your role here, Sarah?
A bit varied. Yeah, if it was a title, it would be like production manager. So I sort of do the day-to-day operations here at the yard and manage the staff. We have about 20 to 25 at a time employees. So yeah, just sort of delegating roles and then overseeing the operation here at the yard.
And what's your background? Because you've only recently come back to the farm.
Yeah, well, it's actually gone very quickly. I've been back almost 5 years now. So I came back into 2019. But previously I was in the hospitality industry.
And you spent some time studying hospitality in Switzerland?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I started my diploma in Queenstown at the QRC College and then went to Switzerland to finish my degree there, and then had to do an internship in the Caribbean, and then actually finished my degree in Sydney. So yeah, I sort of got to travel around a bit with my studies, so that was cool.
And before you came back to the farm, you were managing a hotel in Wellington?
Yeah, that's correct. The Bay Plaza up in Wellington. I was operations manager there for about 2 years. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but just got the call to come home.
Yeah, well, how did that work? Did your dad ask you to come down, or did you get sick of living in a big city?
No, it was just sort of, we were looking at what was going to happen, future planning, and Dad was wanting an extra set of hands, and my brother couldn't leave his job, what he was doing currently, and I was probably a bit more flexible.
So you packed your bags and came home?
Yeah, I had more opportunities down here. I've been able to buy my own house and stuff, which I never would have been able to do in the city, and yeah, it's a way different lifestyle, but We work very great hours here. We do Monday to Friday, 8 till 4:30, so it's not the typical farming hours. So also very different to the shifts of hospitality.
And how is business going?
Good. I think a lot of the growers have had a good season, whereas last year there was a shortage on potatoes, whereas this year I think we're going to have an oversupply.
Does that mean potato prices might drop a bit?
Potentially. I mean, the price that we sell them to the supermarket is fairly constant. You know, it's sort of, it's them that adjust the prices, so yeah.
And people can also come here and buy their potatoes directly, which is nice for the locals.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really good, and it's a super affordable way, and it also means that we can sell some of our seconds. You can get a 20 kilo bag here for $12, which is a lot of food. And I mean, there's technically nothing wrong with them. They're just not quite up to the supermarket standard. They might have a few nicks or cuts or not be the right size.
Yes. So how many tonnes of potatoes do you produce in a year on average? Because I'm guessing it would be heaps off 140 hectares.
Yeah, I think the estimate is we get about 50 tonne off a hectare, but about 50% of it almost works out to be waste or seed. So what actually packs out is not as much. But we pack out 10 to 15 tonne a day to the supermarkets. So
You've got trucks coming and going all the time?
Yeah, so the truck that's just pulled in now has just come from Milton. That's freshly harvest agria.
Who's this on the forklift here?
This is Peter. He's been with us for a year, maybe. He's one of our truck drivers. Sorry, Pete.
Now we're looking at the freshly dug potatoes, and they're relatively clean, aren't they, already?
Yeah, they're not too bad.
Is that because the machine shakes off most of the mud?
Yeah, and we are pretty lucky with where we grow that we've got relatively good soil. Sometimes you look at a bin, you're like, oh, there's more dirt than potato in there, but at the moment we're pretty lucky. But yeah, we've got a bit of scab on these ones, which isn't great.
Yeah, why is that?
It's generally to do with the soil or what's been grazed on the paddock the year before. So these will generally go straight to the wash shed, where there'll be someone on the what we call the dirty end, and they'll remove the dirt and anything really obviously stuff that's wrong with them like this, and then they will go through the clean end, and then ideally we would have 2 people grading them there, and then they get graded for a final time before they get packed out, where you'd have 2 people grading them again.
A lot of quality control.
Yes, yeah. We try to do our best.
What do you love about this work? Because as we've discussed, it's quite different to what you trained to do.
Yeah, I mean, everything's all transferable, right? Like there's still a lot of staff management in hospitality, and so that's sort of all transferable because they do all the sort of HR side of stuff on this here as well. And I don't know, it's just different every day sort of thing. Not cooped up in an office, get to be outside, or yeah.
What are the hardest things about your role here?
I think it's just disappointing when you have a bad crop. It makes it really difficult from our perspective, as well as what you're providing to your customers, because it makes our life so much harder here as well, because there's so much to take out. It slows everything down, so you have to try and get the bad quality ones out. And then, yeah, obviously customers aren't always happy and you get complaints. But no, we're pretty lucky. We've got a really good staff team. We've got one staff member who's been here over 30 years, and then there's probably almost 10 people that have been here 10 years plus. So we're really lucky that we've got that team that knows what they're doing and is reliable. So
yes. Are your future plans to grow the business?
It would take probably quite a bit to grow it further. We'd need all new machinery realistically. We're sort of running at capacity with what we have currently. So yeah, we would need to look at investing in more technology, I guess.
Sarah Mosley there from Kōwhai Bush Farms in South Otago.
Now let's take a look at what's been making headlines on the Rural News Desk this week. And the word is that it's only a matter of time before avian flu arrives in New Zealand. The disease has killed millions of wild birds on 6 continents, and it's spread to mammals and dairy cattle in the United States. We're currently free of avian flu here in New Zealand, but the concern is wild migratory birds could bring it here. Ministry for Primary Industries boss Ray Smith is urging people to report any unexpected dead bird sightings and avoid any contact with carcasses.
We expect it'll travel across the Antarctic to the Ross Dependency and then up through the sub-Antarctic islands and into New Zealand. At the moment, most birds of their bird flu die before they get here because they're too far away. So I think that's what's protected us. But it will probably get here. So our expectation is just a matter of time. It'll get here and into Australia. It might get to Australia first, don't know. I don't want people to worry about it unduly. Just take normal precautions. Know that we've sort of got it in hand and know that it'll probably arrive and we can't stop that. But the biosecurity practices in our poultry industry in particular will be absolutely critical. Otherwise, they'll lose, hundreds of thousands of birds in the matter of days.
The poultry industry's monitoring the situation as a grim milestone was reached in Victoria. More than 1 million birds killed to try and prevent avian flu spread. The industry points out, though, the US flu strain, also now in Antarctica, is more of a risk than strains coming from across the ditch.
Tractor drivers have to use public roads to get to their farm jobs, but they say median barriers on some of them are unsafe. They say the barriers mean they face abuse and are being clipped by other drivers who can't pass them. Some solutions were discussed at the Rural Contractors Conference in Masterton this week. Here's Association Chief Executive Andrew Olsen.
It might be that the most efficient way to manage this would be to look at what pullovers or pull-offs would look like so that people have somewhere safe to go and not just into a driveway where they're going to end up going down a culvert or landing in someone's front yard. It's just not thought through. So we think we can help there.
And on the subject of roads, livestock trucking firms are eagerly waiting for the Bryn Derwyns to reopen. This is Northland's main connection with the rest of the country. It's slip-prone and has been closed for 4 months for major repairs. The highway's due to open on Wednesday, and Don Wilson of On Road Transport is relieved his drivers will be able to move stock without taking a 3-hour detour.
Productivity is probably going to increase by somewhere around 20% probably because of the length of time that it takes to do the detour and the extra road users and fuel and all the extra running costs.
Don Wilson's hopeful the repairs will last, but says an alternative route still needs to be looked at.
To some export news now, and for the first time New Zealand kiwi fruit is selling in Hawaii with a distinctive Maori marketing campaign. Last year, 42 growers who are part of Maori Kiwi Fruit Growers Incorporated partnered with Zespri to learn how to export fruit. Group Chair Anaru Timutimu says the Maori provenance story and Pacific connection are being highlighted, and promotions include the amokura, or red-tailed tropic bird.
It's a real important bird, and in the video it kind of talks about the return of the amokura back to Hawaii from New Zealand and our traditional voyaging waka kind of following that bird with gifts from Aotearoa New Zealand, which is kind of kiwi fruit.
Meanwhile, the country's largest kiwi fruit grower is expecting to make a healthy profit thanks to stronger fruit volumes this season. Seeka has updated its full-year earnings guidance. It's expecting to make a profit before tax of between $15 and $19 million in the year to the end of December. Last year, the company made a net loss before tax of $21 million.
There's been a mixed result from the latest farmer confidence survey. Farmers are feeling more optimistic about their own businesses, but less confident about the wider agri-economy. Rabobank's quarterly survey of about 450 farmers found the number thinking of their farm business as unviable dropped from 9% last quarter to 7%. Most pessimistic are sheep and beef farmers. Here's Chief Executive Todd Charteris.
Farmers' confidence in their own business has actually improved quite sharply, which is positive. And I think what the survey shows is that's driven, depending on what commodity type or farming business they're running, is through commodity prices, increased demand, and also some government policy changes. So that's driving some of that behaviour.
New Zealand's autumn lamb exports have reached a 3-year high and were up 8% on last year. AgriHQ analyst Mel Crode says exporters have continued to push away from China. The country normally soaks up half of New Zealand's lamb supply, but in May that dropped to 35%. She says the UK, EU and North America have picked up the slack.
In dairy news, Maori-owned dairy company Miraka has signed a new deal with Chinese company Thieland to produce a new range of low-carbon A2 milk products. Miraka's dairy plant just north of Taupo is the world's first to use geothermal energy to operate. The new deal was signed during the visit of the Chinese Premier last week. Fonterra is expanding its presence in China and developing a centre in Wuhan where it will tailor value-added dairy products to local consumer tastes. Fonterra already has centres in 5 other key cities which focus on using high-value cream products. And at the Global Dairy Auction this week, dairy prices have fallen for the first time in 3 months. The average price down 0.5% to $3,893 a tonne.
Theft has been plaguing blueberry growers, and they gathered in Hawke's Bay to discuss ways to stop the culprits. The talk was held at Bay Blueberries, where in January hundreds of kilos of blueberries were stolen from the orchard. Owner Marion Hurst says about 60 growers visited her and learnt about cameras and lights as ways to keep people off their properties. She says theft is a bigger problem than people realise, and it'd be good to get a database going.
Everybody knows of another grower or another crop. Often it's another crop. Avocados, we know, have had some real challenges on fruit theft. So what I did notice was lots of growers were discussing neighbours or associates that had lost equipment or fruit.
And finally, researchers are hoping to unlock the secrets of what makes a good working farm dog. Massey University's 3-year study is looking closely at hunterways and heading dogs known for their work herding sheep across rugged terrain. Senior Research Officer Dr. Melissa Stephen says she's been enjoying getting her hands dirty to gather key information at sheepdog trials.
We've been measuring the dogs' bodies, so like height and chest width and chest depth and things like that, and also asking the farmers about the dogs. So like, how would they rank them in terms of are they anxious or are they laid back? How do they behave with sheep? What would they like to train?
Melissa Stevens says blood samples, cheek swabs and detailed questionnaires on each dog will be gathered for analysis to be later shared with breeders. And, like a good working dog, that rounds up the rural news for the week.
This is Country Life on RNZ National 101 FM.
Now we're heading to a busy community-run outdoor ice rink in mid-Canterbury. Cosmo Kentish Barnes is there with rink spokesperson Rob Withers.
We're 40 kilometres inland from Ashburton in the foothills at Staveley, for an altitude of about 500 metres.
And how would you describe the scenery around the rink?
Right, well, we're in the original situation where the old rink was first made, and we're surrounded by native bush. It's basically black beech and all the other native bush that goes with it. We get a great look up into Mount Somers, which is our main mountain in the district here, and it's a beautiful spot.
What's the history of this rink? Who first built it and who owns this land?
So the land now is owned by the Staveley Hall Society, which is the umbrella for all of this and for the curling as well, and the Staveley Hall. So in 1949, three local guys got together and decided they needed more entertainment in the district than just dances, and so they formed a road. They did it all with tractors. I think there was up to 15 tractors at a time with tractors and trailers, and had a bulldozer here and made a hole and filled it with water.
To get to the rink from the car park, one has to cross a stream?
Yeah, we need to cross Boyers Stream at the moment, and we just have an old flatbed trailer sitting on a couple of wheels and some heavy steel ramps both sides, which probably is our last year of using that.
Now in the middle of the shelter we're standing in, there's a big fire to keep people warm.
Yeah, it's a great spot, and the kids love cooking marshmallows, and there's a bit of number 8 wire with a wooden handle on it, and the kids tend to burn most of them, but it's they don't get to do that anywhere else. So no, they do. They love it. And Alan keeps that stoked up and keeps us all warm. Yep. Yeah.
First job I do.
And you've got lots of firewood under the benches around the fire. Must get quite cosy.
Yeah, and we're lucky. Our local Lions clubs have donated firewood and on tables and so on out here. So no, we're very, very lucky.
Yes. And we are looking at a big upgrade of the original ice rink. Tell me about that.
No, we're very excited. So, yeah, don't know what you call it, global warming, whatever you want to call it, climate change. We've had successive years of not skating, and so we had to do something. So we've gone for a refrigerated or assisted rink.
And this is an Olympic ice hockey-sized rink. It's quite big.
Yep, so it's big enough to accommodate a proper game of hockey. So In fact, on a Monday afternoon after school, we've got 20 children getting coached for ice hockey, which is going to start next week. So we've got quite a program. We've got Monday doing that. We've got Tuesday and Thursday as the Windwhistle Curling Club's outings from 1 to 5. On a Thursday night now, we've got a league running. It's a business house league, and so there's 8 teams of 4. So there's 32 people curling here on a Thursday night.
You've got a local league?
Yeah. Bit of a shout out to Ben Streeter, who organised that for us. He did a really good job. He's the secretary of the Windwhistle Curling Club. And on a Friday, it's a Learn to Curl night. And on a Wednesday night is skating. And then we've got Saturday afternoon, a Saturday night skating. And then a Sunday afternoon skating. And it's pretty special coming at night time. We've got fairy lights running from the car park to the rink. And then we've got very, very good outdoor lights.
When did the new rink open here?
So this rink opened the 1st of July last year. The enormity of it was that we had volunteers that did 4,000 hours of community work for us, and from all walks of life, but a lot of them were local farmers, and we were very, very lucky, and the donations were extremely generous. We raised $750 through local donations. $750 through local donations.
$750,000?
Personal and business.
Crikey, that's a lot of money.
Another $750 through grants. It cost us about $1.4 million.
So a long-term
huge, and
investment.
We started debt-free, so look, it was an incredible project.
And I have to say, it's not very expensive to come and skate here. What is it, $10 to come in and $5 to hire skates? It's very cheap, isn't it?
No, well, that was our aim. Our aim was to provide a winter sport for everybody. And look, we're lucky we've got volunteers, so that keeps the labour costs down, and we need to cater for families, and that's what we're doing, and community and families. And I think just looking out there now, you can see people are very happy about what's happening.
How many people do you think are here right now?
I'd say there's 150, Alan, wouldn't you? There'd be at least 150. It's a good crowd, yeah.
And how important is the money you get from the rink for the local community?
That's a very important part for us. So we don't really know how much we're going to earn, but it's reasonably good. But we have a hall that was built in 1892, and it's got a roof that's looking very, very sad, and trusses that aren't looking so good either. So we've got that project. We've got a bridge that we're going to build within the next 2 or 3 months, which will come over Boyers Stream. And then we're probably going to build a hire centre here rather than working out of containers.
I may interrupt, Rob. I'm Jo from Burnside Park Tennis Club. I've come to see what you guys did with our turf.
All right. So, yeah, Jo's here from Burnside Tennis Club. And so my brother fortuitously drove past the Burnside courts and saw they were renewing their tennis courts. And I'd said to him a long time ago that I thought probably the best option was to put AstroTurf down over our shingle, stop all the muck and stones going onto the rink. And as Jo says, we ended up getting there. They gave it to us.
Yeah, so we were refurbishing our AstroTurfs and we had to get rid of the old stuff, and it was going to cost us $11,000 to dump it. So sustainability wise, I put it out to the community to say this is all for free, and Rob gave us a call and we organised it with him to come and collect it all. So it's got a new lease on life, and we'll be here for another 20-30 years or so.
And it's covering the area between the skate hire container and this shed here where the fireplace is, and this is the first time you've seen it.
Yeah, I came down just for the day, just to have a look, because I knew that the rink had opened now. So I thought, come and have a look, take some photos and take it back to my club and show them what community networking is all about.
Spread the word. Yeah. Now, Alan, you are the ice manager, is that right?
That's right, yes.
So what does your work involve?
Mostly, initially, making the ice to start with at the beginning of the year, which we do. We put on spray water with a hose on the ice every 3 or 4 hours overnight, because night time's the coolest, so it works pretty well. Yeah.
And then do you have a machine that you smooth it over with?
Yes, partway through the season last year we imported a machine from Canada that's behind a tractor, and that grooms the ice. It's got a blade underneath, scrapes all the ice clean, and then we fill the machine with hot water and drag a towel around and spread hot water on the ice.
And that just makes it perfectly smooth.
And that leaves a perfectly smooth surface.
It must look amazing before anyone starts skating in the morning.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes.
How did you become the ice manager here? What's your background?
My background is farming, nothing to do with ice whatsoever. I was at a hall committee meeting. They put the job up and said that we're looking for someone to do it, and I said, I might have a go at that. So that's how we got started, and had a lot of help from not only local people but visiting people that come here to skate.
So you're still learning?
Oh, definitely, yes. Ice is a pretty tricky thing to work with.
Are you still farming?
No, I've retired. Yeah.
What were you farming?
Mostly dry stock farming, and We've got a little block. We're the closest house to the rink, so it's quite handy.
Quite handy. So you pop over early in the morning and get things going?
Yes, we do. I'm here a couple of hours before we start, and usually 2 hours after we're finished. I groom the ice every night when they've finished.
Now, what sort of machinery runs the cooling device?
There's 5 compressors in there.
In the container?
Yes, which is all monitored with computers. So they automatically start up and automatically stop off at minus 0.5.
So it's quite high-tech machinery?
Oh, very. Above my head.
There is a skiff of snow on Mount Somers. If it snows down here, will the rink stay open?
As soon as we get the snow off, it'll be open, and it won't take us too long to do it. Yeah.
So people could ice skate here in the snow?
Yes.
And lovely.
They'll play in the snow, I know that.
Well, the fire is cranking beside us. I don't know if our listeners can hear it, but will that keep going till night time?
Yes. We skate until 9 o'clock tonight, so the fire will be going till then.
Phoebe, where are you from?
I am originally from Invercargill, but I've spent most of my life up in the North Island.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you love about this ice rink?
I like that people are very supportive. There's a lot of other people who have just begun ice skating as well. So I'm not alone. Yeah,
I've had a quick go, and I think I'm probably the worst ice skater here. I'm so pleased that I didn't fall over.
Right, yes.
Did you have any falls?
Not so far, luckily.
Enjoy the afternoon. We're lucky today because it's a blue sky, but it's starting to get a bit chilly.
Yes, it's going to snow soon.
Really?
Yes, out towards Methven way.
What's your background, Rob?
I was born in the local district, and my wife and I, Jane, have come back, and it was a while ago now, 1999, 2000, we converted our farm down at Staveley into a dairy farm, and so we're dairy farming.
Yes, and how's that going?
Well, I'd prefer to be dairy farming than sheep and beef at the moment. I feel very, very sorry for them at the moment. Like, there's a tough old road, and we've got a lot of friends who are sheep and beef, and they're hurting, but they just got to stick to it. It'll come right.
Have you been encouraging local farmers to come down here and do a bit of curling or skating?
Yes, well, we try and book a night once a month that we'll have a community night, and we can get local farmers down, or anyone from our community, and we come down here and we have a barbecue and a few beers and get the fire going, and we just open the shed up for them to use the curl stones and skates, and there's no charge to it. It's just a good thing to do.
Just to get everyone together?
Yeah, and it's a payback for our community who have put so much into this. But we were lucky as kids, our family, we were lucky. My father was a skater and he taught us to skate, and we just wanted to keep it going.
Rob Withers at Staveley's community-run ice skating rink. Cosmo was also talking to Iceman Alan Lowen, Joe from Burnside Park Tennis Club, and Phoebe, a visiting skater. And Cosmo's popped up some photos and even a video of him ice skating, or attempting to, as he puts it, on our webpage.
I'm John Whittaker, the flower man from Fielding, and you're listening to Country Life, the RNZ National.
Now we're taking you to Terrafiti Station. It's a wild, windswept farm off the southwest coast of the North Island, and its scrubby hills are the perfect new home for one of Aotearoa's taonga species. Alongside grazing sheep, cattle and goats, if you're lucky, you just might find a kiwi. Janina Schwanneker went to the farm to find out more.
Covering close to 5,000 hectares along the southwest coast of Wellington, Terrafiti Station is also one of the oldest in the region. Its steep, scrub-clad hills are under the care of manager Guy Parkinson and shepherd Ross Johnston. I'm meeting them today on the farm, where Guy tells me about the changes since he first started.
I'm Guy Parkinson, manager of Terrafiti Station.
I'm Ross Johnston, shepherd on Terrafiti Station.
Of the 5,000 or so almost hectares, how many are effective actually for farming?
Probably about 2,500 hectares you could say are clear, but within that there's a lot of regenerating gorse and other scrub. But we do graze most of the other areas, so the stock just graze in amongst all the manuka and regenerating forest that is there. When I started here it was almost like a blank canvas. We had no stock-proof fencing whatsoever. We had no serviceable or functioning yards or woolshed. Where the place is now fully developed, I think we've put in about 90 kilometres of new fencing, upgraded all the existing yards and facilities. I've cleared about 2,000 hectares of scrub weeds, mainly gorse. Cattle here were virtually a feral mob of wild cattle, and we only had about 270 wild sheep when I started. So, it's completely different, complete transformation.
Michael Grace, a descendant of one of the farm's early pioneers, is a shareholder and director of Terrafiti Station.
I'm Michael Grace. I'm one of the descendants of the original farmers on the property from the 1840s. James McMiniman was one of the ancestors who came out from Ireland, we think under sponsorship. And we know he was on the property in 1847. We assume he was there before that. And we're still here today.
A wind farm built by Meridian Energy 15 years ago proved a catalyst for the farm's redevelopment.
The catalyst for the farm's redevelopment occurred circa 2009. So Meridian Energy had just established West Wind Farm, and so a lot of the turmoil that was created through that development process was over. We could get back to farming proper. Before that, the farm was in a bit of a sorry state. This is post sort of depressions of 80s and 90s, post subsidies. The farm wasn't in a very good state, and so Meridian came along and established the wind farm. And post 2009, we've been all guns blazing, really.
The wind farm is now a major part of the farm's operation, which boasts a diverse stream of incomes.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage to us. Not only does it give us a very diverse income, whereas one commodity might be down, it could be balanced out by another one being up, but also really helps with the cash flow. We have income coming in throughout most of the year. At the moment we have a total of 9 income streams from various things. The wind farm is one of the major ones. The wind farm is great, not only the income from it, but it also has given us a good road network, which helps with the farming. And we also have carbon farming, tourism. We have beekeepers come in the summer for manuka honey, and we also have a diving group utilises the place. What were staff houses and other mustering huts and things are now also used as rentals. On the livestock aspect, we're mainly beef breeding. We have about 850 cows to the bull this year, and most of the young stock will be sold through the sale yards or go to our finishing farm, which is up in Wellington near Palmerston North. We also have about 2,000 Wiltshire sheep, so we have a pretty low labour input system. It's fairly extensive. Only have about 35 paddocks. On top of that, we have quite a few feral goats running around, which are essential for weed control, and we hope to sell sort of 400 to 600 of them every year.
There's some newcomers to the farm too. Alongside grazing livestock, you might now find kiwi running around. The North Island brown kiwi, kiwi nui, were reintroduced to the property as part of the Capital Kiwi project. Don't worry, we'll meet Paul Ward, the man behind the Capital Kiwi project, another time.
Well, Paul Ward, founder, is an old friend of mine, an old rowing mate of mine. So, when he came to talk to us about the idea, I think in the first instance, just surprise is probably the best word to describe it, because who wouldn't want kiwi in their backyard? But then I've grown up in an environment where, there have been, it's a very degraded environment, right? It's a rural environment. Native bush is scarce. So the thought of having kiwi reintroduced was a bit of a surprise to us. Exciting nonetheless, but a surprise. So Paul approached us, pitched the idea. Obviously there were concerns and questions, what does it look like? What does management look like? How does pest control work? Can kiwi survive? All those questions he subsequently answered, and we were on board sort of at the very start.
Yeah, when it was put to us, we were a little bit sort of sceptical of it, but looking back now, we're really glad we undertook the project, and it's been pretty seamless, pretty easy to fit in with what we're already doing. My wife Carolyn and I, we've always been environmentalists at heart. We've had a bit of experience in other areas about what can be achieved with predator-free areas. So, and she's very green-fingered, always likes planting native plants and things. So the kiwi certainly get the limelight, and they are the main attraction here, but we are noticing all other species of birds starting to make a bit of a comeback, and also the regenerating native bush. So it's an overall project that we're all very keen on, and the shareholders are very keen to leave it in a better state for future generations.
What about for you, Ross? How does it feel to be a part of this project as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty special to be down a gully and somewhere in the farm moving stock, and then all of a sudden you hear a kiwi call out.
What sort of logistical challenges are there to having such a strong focus on conservation and having kiwi running around on the farm?
Yeah, it's definitely something we've got to be conscious of. I'm running 6 dogs, 2 heading dogs, Ace and Teal, a couple of straight huntaways, Ness and Jack, and then a couple of handies. One's a beardie called Deb, and then a young one coming on called Bonnie. Through the aversion training, that seems to work very, very well, and obviously our dog's been under control. We hope that never really becomes an issue. It's something to consider also. There's a lot of people on the farm a lot of the time, so there's a bit of coordination with that, but really the kind of kiwi look after themselves other than the trapping network, quite seamless in our day-to-day.
Probably the biggest threat is not from our dogs, but it's just from unauthorised access of dogs coming in, from public, with some of our neighbours. Most of the local community have really got behind it and have got their dogs trained. It's just that the wider public coming out of Wellington do have access to the outskirts of the farm. But with our own dogs and our own operations, I think the kiwi are fairly safe. And
so all of your dogs have been through the kiwi avoidance training for the both of you?
Yeah.
And how did you find that process? What was that like for you guys? I suppose especially for you, Ross, probably not having seen something like that before, maybe?
Yeah. Willie, who does it, is pretty fantastic to work with. I mean, he clearly loves the work and is very knowledgeable. But yeah, amazing to see how quickly the dogs kind of key into it. And I think some of my dogs have probably been through it 3 times now, and they don't even want to be there. That's how averse they are to the kiwis. That's really great to see.
Yeah, Willie has got a real great affinity with dogs, and has got it down to a fine art, so he's doing a great job.
We head to a kiwi avoidance training session down the road in Marketer, where we meet the legendary Willie Marsh.
Hey, how you going, Willie?
I'm good, man.
Good to see you. Kia ora. I'm Willie Marsh. I'm the aversion trainer for the kiwis and all our other ground species. I come from Waikatamona. I do get around and do a few dogs over the country.
How long have you been doing this for, Willie?
Quite a few number of years.
And how did you learn this yourself? How did you kind of figure out this recipe for keeping dogs away from our
Well, I was introduced to it by a fellow running dock in Waikatamona, and he asked me if I would take on the kiwi aversion training because we had kiwis up there. We had our own sanctuary, but we needed to get in there and hunt the pigs and the deer too. We had to put through a program to stop our own dogs from killing the birds. Turned out okay, so
here you are.
Here I am today.
Willie explains the different senses he's targeting before taking me out on the course.
Well, the first one is the nose, the second one is the sight, and the third one is the ears. The fourth one It's the person, it's the owner.
Is the owner, I suppose, owner responsibility, eh?
Yes, right.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's the other one. And if you can relate that to the owner that the dog can do it, they look at their dogs totally different. They work them totally differently. Yeah. And you've got to keep that trust between the owner and the dog. You don't want to take it away. Because I use electric collar. Okay, I'll better tell you that now. So the electric collar can make a dog do certain things. My training is based on a whole lot of other trainings, but I find that with electric collar you've got to be very careful. If you're not careful with electric collar, you can actually make a dog look at it and go for it. You can make this think that it can fight back.
It thinks it's a threat.
If you press the electric collar too hard. Every dog has a certain training point. Okay, there's a certain level. They all have a different level to train. If you go above it, you can actually make that dog either look at it as a threat, and then he won't have a go at it. Or else, if you... so the idea is actually let the dog figure it out that maybe it's not a threat, I'm the threat and I'll go around.
Is there much difference across different breeds of dogs, like, for example, farm dogs versus, domestic pet dogs?
No, because they all still have the same characters. Good nose, good sight and good sound. The only difference is they work in different things, okay? One goes for the pigs and the other one's doing sheep work and stuff like that. But dogs are very clever, and they I always think they have the best traits in the world. I regard them as the best hunting dogs in the world. Mm-hmm. I do. I have a lot of time for a dog. But I read the dogs before I take them out. I've done enough dogs now to sort of hopefully know them before I actually take them out.
So what does the course involve?
Well, first of all, I'll put the collar on them, okay? And then we'll bring them down here. So the first part here is scent. They're either going to go to the scent or they're not. And then as we get along, then there's movement because that's sight. With scent, there's sight. Nose, eyes, okay? And then towards the end there, then they get to the one with the sound. So I do scent, sight, sound. So sometimes the wind might be blowing towards the dog. They mightn't pick up any scent, but they can hear it. And that gives them a little thing, oh, yeah, there is a bird out there. Mm. Yeah, it just gives them a little sense of direction. Yeah.
And so as the dog kind of makes an approach to the decoy kiwi, that's when you might give them a zap just to deter them from going there. Yeah. But basically, I prefer the vibration because the vibration makes them sniff the scent in. And then if they don't respond, I might have to go up to 1 or 2 on the electrics. But, you don't want to go, I'll find out what this temperament is. Yeah. Beforehand?
Beforehand. Because, I don't want to overcook it if I can. Yeah, and then they'll eventually think about it. I don't do my dogs on a lead. That's a big no-no with me because I always think if you've got them on the lead, you've got them retained, you've still got control over it. The dog actually has to go around by itself because when they walk in their dogs, they're actually walking it off the lead. So these are basically my props. They made up ones, of course. But then with these props, I can do certain things with them. I can put the scent with them.
The kiwi scent?
Yeah, and the sight with the kiwi, and also the sound. 3 things. I can't teach a dog on one. They need 3 things. So if I get the sequence right, our dogs will end up to avoid them, okay?
And where do you get these kind of props from? Do you make them yourself?
Yes, a lot of them I make myself, but then a lot of them I got donated to me, because I do a few companies, but they actually come steel and then I cover them.
Let's go put them out.
Yeah. So that's what's in this bag here, scent. These are my scent boxes. I made these up. What will happen is I'll put something like this that's been soaked in kiwi scent, and then I'll put it in the box. And I got them like that because that's the shape of the nose of a dog. But over time, what happens is I've been down here quite a few times, so I've altered the course from when I originally started.
Yeah. Because
I wasn't getting the hits with the dogs. The dogs weren't going to the props properly. So you've really got to work it out and eventually come up with something that works. It doesn't sort of happen the first time you come out. So props have to be moved around, and, to suit the... Okay, so you'll walk up to that one there.
I see. There's a kiwi hiding in this bush. Whoa! So it moves.
So that's the noise that the dog will make, hopefully. Yeah. So that's the sight.
That's the sight aspect.
Yeah.
You actually caught me off guard there, Willie.
Well, that's what I'm after. So that's how I work it.
So the owner, would they be walking with their dog along this
Yes,
path?
Yeah.
And so would they stop their dog naturally, or would you want them to just kind of keep walking and then boom, the kiwi moves?
Yeah, because if they stop their dog, that means they seen the prop and controlling the dog.
Ah, so you need the dog to control itself.
That's right. Let the dog work it out for itself. Yeah. So
There's also a recording of a kiwi call and several other challenges the dogs will have to overcome to pass. Meanwhile, the Makara locals have brought their four-legged friends to do their part in keeping their new neighbours safe.
Morning, guys. How are we doing? Yeah. Sorry. That's all right. I'll get you That's all right. Oh, when you're ready. Oh, good. No, that's all right. Yeah. Just checking in, checking out. My bits and pieces together.
It's time for Willie to meet Obi. Hello, big boy. Who is this over here?
It's Obi.
Obi. And how old is Obi?
He's 8.
Hunterway cross or?
Rottweiler Hunterway.
Rottweiler Hunterway. Oh yeah, that explains those big paws. So he hasn't had his training yet?
No, we're waiting for it.
Waiting for it. And is it his first time training or?
For anti-kiwi, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. How do you think he'll go?
He's usually pretty, usually takes pretty well to direction, so he should just lap it up.
Collar goes on.
collar goes on. Give him a pat. Pretty clever, believe me. I bet you he's got a black gum.
Dog whisperer.
Those are the traits you look for. These are the traits that I look for in a dog. That's what helps me work the electrics. Got to have that. And then as I put in the thing, I can lift it up with my fingers, and I know he's got a very black muzzle. There you go. Farmers pick it. I got taught that off a farm. If you want a good dog, pick him with a black muzzle. Got to have 4 black feet too.
No luck there.
Yeah, but that's how they pick. Because a farmer's dog does a lot of mileage a day, every day, 7 days a week sometimes. If you get a dog with the black muzzle, they hold their weight.
So you've got a good dog there.
They eat properly.
Obi, I'm in.
Yeah, that for me. Okay, let him go.
That's lead. Yeah. Thanks. Good boy, go on.
Good boy. Good boy. Okay.
Oops, this way. This way.
Okay.
They set off down the bush track and he's coming up to his first obstacle. We'll leave them to their training. The community training session is also a good chance for the station crew to catch up with Willie. You've had about a half dozen dogs come through this morning. Pretty happy with how they went?
Yeah, pretty happy. Yeah. They all take their time. They all have a certain time to learn. Yeah. The biggest thing is like when the sheep dogs, you can't really take them very singly because they take the dogs, the whole pack to work. And that's how they work them. It's a different atmosphere for those dogs. Like for you guys, you don't leave a dog, you just don't take one dog, you take the lot.
Yeah.
So that's how they still have to be up there in that field no matter what. Yeah. You can't say, I'll leave this dog behind because I don't trust it. You've still got to take them. And I find with working dogs, they're very clever. You know, they just, they know what they're there for. Once they're out of that kennel, they know where they're going to work. And that's what they got on their mind, to work.
I think, for us, as long as we keep doing the aversion training every year or so, our dogs aren't the problem. Our biggest fear is just outside dogs coming in from the city.
The other thing too, they've liberated more kiwis, so the chances are that there's more out there now. So the dogs are going to run into them, more than they used to. But I know the amount of hours that they put into a working dog, and it starts at day one and it finishes at the day's end, maybe 10 years later, 12 years later, when that dog is gone. It never stops.
Yep.
Yeah, it never stops just on that when you think you got them right.
Bit like us old fellas, Willie, we're still learning, aren't we?
That's right.
That was Guy Parkinson. Janina Schwaneker was also speaking with Ross Johnson, Michael Grace and Willie Marsh. And Obi the dog, how did he go? Well, he passed with flying colours. While it's great for dog owners to get their canines trained to avoid our native manu, not everyone can. So dog owners around Wellington are encouraged to keep their pets on the lead while out walking the bush trails near the new kiwi population. And next week, a Matariki treat. Janina is back out on the farm, this time with the Capital Kiwi project team to meet some of the local kiwi.
Yeah, don't miss that one. Sounds great. Thanks for joining us. A quick note from our team. We love getting your feedback and ideas for future stories. You can reach us at country@rnz.co.nz.
We'd hate for you to miss an episode of Country Life. To get every single episode free to your phone, click follow on your app now. And if you enjoyed our show, give us a shout on social media or tell a friend by clicking the share button in this app.
Out in the field today were Cosmo Kentish-Barnes and Janina Schwanneker. And here in the studio, myself, Sally Round.
And me, Duncan Smith. The show was produced and engineered by David Knowles and Phil Benj. Catch you next time.
Ka kite.